best nicknames that you've got for people that you've worked with that are now? Because you're how did you just describe it? You're what was it?
So I'm ex-military, done about 8 years.
Yeah, but the pensioner part.
Oh yeah,
you're a pensioner.
Yeah, so I'm classed as a war pensioner, and I find I can't take myself seriously when I say that, because when you say war pensioner, you think of an 80-year-old man or something with his little suit on.
Yeah.
So no offense to him, war pensioners and stuff, but I remember, like we were saying earlier, I went to the pharmacy. I was picking up my tablet. She was like, "Do you have to pay for these?" I was like, "No, exemption." She was like, "What one's that then?" I was like, "War pensioner." She just burst out laughing at me.
Even when you walked in, my first thing was, which leg? Because I couldn't see straight away.
Yeah, no, that's why if I wear trousers, no one notices at all. But unless the wind blows and you get this sort of skip leg day on one side. Sometimes I feel like wearing shorts because, if you're in a busy environment, you're walking through crowds and that, people just walk at you anyway.
Yeah.
And when you got one leg that doesn't move, they trip over and they look at me like I'm being a bit of a twat, thinking, "Why have you done that for?" I'm like, "Oh, it's my leg." And they're like, "What are you on about, your leg?"
You were saying about the story the other day when you had to park in your disabled badge as well. When you
Cool. I mean, because I don't look the same.
Absolutely not. Yeah.
I park in the Tesco car park or whatever in the blue badge spot. Before I've even got time to put the badge up, someone's banging on my window saying, "Excuse me, you do realise this is for disabled people?" I don't know what they expect.
Have you ever had someone ask you to prove the disability?
Yeah. The best one is my mate. He's lost both his legs, and the done thing to do is when you lose legs and you get a bit of money, you go and buy Range Rovers and things like that. You should have seen the Army Rehab car park. It was like a sports showroom. Limbs missing everywhere. Cars were fucked. And we were in the car together. He's lost both his legs. He's driving adapted. I'm in with him. We pull up in a Range Rover, listening to some tunes. We don't look disabled at all, fair enough. But this guy came screaming over. My mate just opened up the door and you could just see he was just... I wanted to say half the man he used to be. That's pretty savage. He'd lost some of his...
Do you find it hard not to bite back sometimes? But your character is quite different.
I just smile and wait. Yeah. I've learned to kill him with kindness rather than kill him with weapons and stuff.
Probably a good move, Johnny, yeah.
No, but... it's more my friends and my family that would kick off.
Very protective.
And I'll just be like, "Oh no, let's just go home."
I think you're on the show, mate. You come across like really genuine, really well. I think I gutted when you went out because I think you were one of them ones to watch. And I said that to you. I'm one of the people that messaged a lot of people on social media. And I said, if you'd have been given the opportunity, you were sailing quite a lot. You were playing a very good game. But yeah, you done well. You come across really, really well, mate.
You played a genuine game as well.
Absolutely.
Like, watching it, so even coming to this, you think I'm the audience, I was the viewer.
Yeah.
And this is one of the first shows, reality TV shows, that I go, I'm watching it.
Same
because it was so good. And to see you guys on there and how it came across, because I think for good and bad, you saw who people really are on that. There wasn't anyone you couldn't hide.
Yeah, and I think it's one of those shows where the more it goes on, as the weeks go by and the lack of sleep starts to kick in, the weather starts to get bad, that's when you see people's true colours.
Absolutely.
That's when people start going, oh, you're annoying me. And you just see that.
Little traits.
Yeah. And like you were saying, I'm naturally a bit of an observer. In any environment I go in, I'll just sit, watch, look around, take it all in, and I'll kind of, rather than stick with one group, I like to try and get to know everyone as quick as I can. Yeah. I think that's why you found when my series came out, it was just like me going up to everyone as quick as I could, trying to get all my cards off my chest, saying, "Oh yeah, by the way, I've got one leg, I got blown up. I'm not trying to hide anything." Yeah. "Oh, by the way, I'm not trying to hide."
Gather around.
Because in my head, I was thinking, because they didn't know that I'd lost my leg because I had trousers on, and I thought, I'm keeping a secret here, but I'm not keeping a secret. It's just not something you go around telling everyone.
Yeah, and it's the kind of thing. Well, on that show as well, it is the kind of thing where the smallest secrets came out and people lost their shit.
Yes.
And they were like the dumbest secrets where you're like, so?
Yeah.
Like, she's an actor.
Like Maddie, yeah.
Yeah,
Maddie,
yeah, exactly that.
So, I mean, I'd said congratulations to her. I had no issue with it at all, but everyone just was swamped towards her.
Yeah.
I think it's obviously good dynamics here today. There's only a lot of people have opinions on the Traitors, and I think for us, we were a slow burner. It took a bit of time to build up. Season 2, I felt from a little bit because it was enormous. It was massive. It's the biggest show on TV, the live audiences, and it was probably quite daunting for you guys. You had to wait like we did for it to come out, but we see all the opinions of people, and that's one thing. You can't go on that show and be everyone's cup of tea. Everyone's not going to like you. You're going to have opinions. But there's only ever been, to this day, 44 people that have played the Traitors game. So
It's mad when you put it like
when you put it like that. So people have got opinions, but there's only 44 of us, soon to be 66. So yeah, that have played the game. So all the things, all the opinions, which makes the show the magic of what it is. But unless you've been there, like you pointed out earlier, sleep deprivation, that castle does wonders with your mind, doesn't it? It sends you in very different angles.
What's some of the things that people don't see from an audience point of view? Because you think, for us, we don't see the sleep deprivation.
Yeah.
We all see everyone going to bed and having a lovely night's sleep. I saw people working out in their room and thought, well, that looks fun.
Yeah.
But what's the stuff that the audience doesn't get to see?
It's a good question. I think the things that you don't see are the personal experience, in the sense of put yourself in mine and Kieran's shoes. You're about to go on this show. You don't know too much about it. Yeah. You don't know if it's going to be huge. You know, you haven't been on telly before.
Yeah.
You haven't had cameras everywhere looking at you. All this new environment's going on, and you're about to meet everyone else who you haven't seen yet, and you're about to play this crazy game with them, and you're thinking, what are these people going to be like? Are they going to be nice? Are they going to be game players? I'm going to be stuck here. What is going to happen to me? What sort of missions am I going to do? What are the producers got up their sleeve? And the whole time you're just going,
it rolls, doesn't it?
Trying to process it.
Your own worst enemy in there, for me, was myself and my own thoughts and process. Exactly. I think it was a lot harder for you because I think the expectations were, people knew like what would the game like. They've obviously watching season 1. They knew twists and turns. They know the levels that people would go to. So I actually think it was a lot harder for you guys. A lot harder.
Like your good old liner. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
I couldn't get that out of my head. So that first, because I am that person. If something's going to happen, it's normally me. That's why I've got one leg in first. And when I saw you all line up, I was like, I'm going to be the first to go. I'm all buzzed. I'm all gassed and excited to do this. And it's just going to be like, yeah, you can go home. You're done now. And you're thinking that in the back of your head. You're like, you want to at least be in there a couple of days. And I remember seeing that must have destroyed you.
Oh,
like, honestly.
Well, funny, when it happened, which I'll cover in a minute, but watching it back, obviously we knew they'd do nothing the same. I thought, but being at home and watching them line up and said like, and she said, well, I want you to get an orderly line, like the fear that came over my, it's like I was right back on that gravel again. I literally, my arse went, I thought, oh no.
Did you know?
No, not
because you look like watching that when we sat down to watch it, that first episode, and we saw everyone line up. And you've got what I liked about it as a viewer is you had no idea as well is going to happen, and you guys looked so shocked, and I thought all that way to then get sent home straight away.
I'll tell you something before as well. Like I never nearly made it on the show as well. There's a few instances why I nearly didn't make it on the show. First of all, one, you have to have medical background. So I asked for my medical records in the qualification process. The hospital
Take one off.
they'd lost mine, so they couldn't access my medical records, and I had 4 days to get them. Otherwise, I would have not moved to the next stage. Yeah. So I had to go to the hospital, I had to go to the doctors, I had to get a reprint of it, and I got it the last day before the cut-off was, because I wanted to know if you're healthy enough to do the show physically,
right?
Let alone the mental side.
Yeah.
So that was that. On the Saturday, it was my sister's 50th birthday party, and this was just after COVID, remember? So there was strict instructions for us. If anyone tests positive for COVID, you will be tested on the show.
Yeah.
You will be sent home straight away. Went to my sister's 50th birthday party, which might have been an absolute fucking horrific mistake that I'd done it, and turned out it possibly was. On the Tuesday, I got a text from my sister saying everyone's tested positive for COVID. I'm meant to be flying out on the Friday. So I sat there, bearing in mind 6 months trying to get onto that show.
Yeah.
I was testing myself twice a day. I was like, I've come all this far to test positive for COVID the day before I go. Tested every single day. I wasn't sleeping that week before because I was like, to lose out that early from what I've come through. Last day, anyway, cut a long story short, didn't test positive. Got to the castle and they'd done the final test, which was when my arse was going the day before. And the next morning, obviously, got to the castle in 6 minutes, I was thrown out. So my journey from getting onto the show to being at the show,
Oh my
the
God.
first day 6 minutes, then I'm sent home. So my mind from before I even got on the show was fucked. So I was a broken man before I even got there.
So you've gone through all of that.
Before.
And you go, right, I've tested negative.
Yeah.
I'm in.
I'm
They
ready.
go, you too. Fuck off.
Basically, no.
Yes, I'm here.
What did you think of our lovely Queen Claudia?
Oh, Claudia. So, if I'm being honest, I'm not the most television
No,
person.
you said that.
I don't
yeah.
watch much telly. I do, but more in the wrong era. Like
Yeah.
I like watching Gold TV because
Yeah.
you've got all the old Only Fools and
Yeah,
Horses.
Yeah.
love it.
The
yeah.
two Ronnies. I'm quite old-fashioned
Yeah.
with the comedy I like and television I like. So I didn't know too much about the show until I did. I obviously watched series 1 and I thought, this is actually pretty cool. And I didn't know too much about Claudia. I wasn't sure how to take her. I wasn't sure what it was going to be like. But I have to admit, she's an absolute sweetheart.
Loved it.
Watching it, it was when she'd take the pictures off the wall and just throw them on the
And
floor.
Aisha's on front like that. I mean, what a great thing. Probably no one prompted her to do that. That's just natural
Yeah.
Claudia to do it.
Yeah.
It was superb. Absolutely loved
One of our water missions we had to do. I remember I was like trying to get the feelers out for Claudia. I was like, "Oh, Claudia, are you coming in with us then? Because it's hot, just a little joke." And she was like, "I'm 50." And I was like, "How many legs do you have, Claudia?" And she was like, "You've got me there." And I was like,
Oh, I love that.
But after that, I thought, she
That's
don't
broke
like
the
me
ice.
anymore. She don't like me anymore. But no, not at all. She's just very dry sense of humour.
Yeah.
But yeah, she is brilliant.
What was your favourite mission?
My favourite mission, I think, believe it or not, it was probably the catapult one.
Yeah.
And I say believe it or not because that was a mission. That was a mission. That was hard. It was very. I recognised it because it's a military type mission. So in the military, you have to do a thing called a gun run, where, funnily enough, you have all this equipment scattered out, and you've got to get all the equipment and then build it. But in the army, you have to build like an artillery gun. But we had to build a catapult. So I kind of recognised it. I remember glancing over at Harry and he was like, yeah, I know what this is. And we're like, okay, we got it. But it was just the change, that's when it felt like it got serious because everyone was just struggling because of the physical fitness side of it. We're running, it felt like we were running for miles. Even I was thinking, cool, bloody hell. Getting all the bits together, really heavy bits. And this was when people starting to flag, moan at each other for doing like, no, grab that side. No, you grab that side. But once we'd done it and we got up to the top of that hill and we built that catapult, the morale was just up there.
Yeah.
And it was just funny seeing everyone launch the catapult and all of that. And once we got up there, it was just like, yeah. But for me, I'm a bit of an adrenaline junkie, so that's why I was just like grabbing like huge bits of wood, just like, yeah, I'm loving this. Because I was trapped in that bloody room for so long as well. That was driving me insane. That was the worst bit for me.
Yeah.
Just sat
They're
there
doing it, yeah. Climbing the walls.
Yeah. Well, I had a tennis. I was full on Great Escape with a tennis ball. I was pacing
love
around.
that.
I took a sketchbook in with me. I was just-
Sweet.
With Harry, because Harry's ex-military as well, is he not?
He is, yeah.
Yes.
So when you found out, did you like have a bit of a kinship with him straight away?
So it's interesting. Harry and Paul seemed to be around each other at the start, and I felt like I hadn't met a few people properly up until episode 3, 4.
It takes a bit of time, doesn't it,
Yeah,
to work your way
it was
around
still
everyone? Yeah,
actually-
absolutely.
Was a lot of people, 22 people?
Yeah, it's hard. It really is hard because you've done it the right way. It wasn't like in everyone's faces trying to introduce yourself. It does take a couple of days.
I don't know 22 people now.
Yeah, well, you quick say hello to everyone, but like you said, there's a lot of people, and you end up being in a car with someone, you gel a little bit more with that person.
Yeah.
And if you haven't sat with someone else, then they're gonna sit with someone else and
Yeah.
start developing a
Yeah.
relationship with them. And what I found is me and Harry didn't realise we were both in the military until about episode 3, 4.
Okay.
Right.
So it was quite late on. But
Yeah.
once we both clocked, I think that's why there was a change in Harry as well.
Mm.
Because if you noticed, he was kind of just like, there was nothing there.
Nothing at all.
And then he
yeah.
just kind of switched and started to back me slightly. But at the same time, I really don't know why I didn't put 2 and 2 together, because I was thinking in the evenings of who it could be, and I thought, right, it's 2 army blokes in here. It's got to be one of us. It's not me. And that's all I got to.
I was quite. You was. I said to you, not blowing smoke up your eyes. You were one of the people I thought he's gonna catch one. So I think he's gonna tune in. I think because you was observing, I think he's definitely he's gonna home in on someone. But yeah, we were waiting for that little click to penny to drop.
I
Yeah.
did home in on someone, but I chose the wrong person, didn't I? But they were keeping a secret. So
They certainly
Yeah.
were. Yeah,
and that
100%.
person was Ross.
Yeah.
So Ross, I connected. We were having a laugh, like proper lads.
Yeah.
I thought, yeah, this is someone to get on with. And naturally, I remember having a moment, and I just kind of changed, and I thought, there's something not quite sitting right with Ross. Because Ross was the first person I met, and I am, funnily enough, on the train, and there was just something not sitting right with me, and I thought, is he a secret producer? Like, because he looks very much like one of the tech guys. Or
Yeah.
something like. And then he told
He is,
me,
isn't he? Doesn't he do something? Yeah.
and
Yeah.
he told me he does do it. And I thought, something's really not.
Yeah.
So I was just so focused on Ross. I felt like he was keeping something, and it turns out he was, but he wasn't a traitor.
Yeah, but you still tuned in on.
Yeah.
He was hiding something.
Yeah,
So
and-
intuition.
And I was thinking, if in a parallel universe, I didn't get all suspicious of Ross, we probably would have got quite friendly. I
Yeah.
think, and it would have gone completely
Yeah.
different. But that's also another reality of the show. I didn't care when I came out at the time. My time
No.
was that. It was exciting. But watching it back and everyone going, oh, Johnny, before you're going to go further, that's when I was like, oh, yeah, it would have been a little bit fun to stay in there a bit longer.
Yeah.
And do some
watching it
missions.
as the audience, because on season 1, when they told us who the traitors were, when she goes round and touches everyone, I sat at home thinking, I didn't want to know. I wanted to try and
Big
figure
talk
out.
about that. A lot of people.
I wanted to
yeah.
figure I wanted to figure it out.
Yeah.
But then, from watching it, when you know who the traitor is, and you can see the slip-ups
Yeah.
that you guys don't see,
Yeah.
you end up screaming at the TV.
It makes it more entertaining.
Yeah. So when you watched it back, were you noticing all the little things that you would have missed?
I think it was, for me, sorry,
Yeah, no, go
it was kind of like confirming, like, because in your head, when you think about things, you have your thought process, obviously, and you rationalise things and you unrationalise things. And you're forever doing this because you don't know what's right. Like, I could be talking to you now and one of us could be the traitor in the room and we wouldn't know. And you're chatting to them, you're like, yeah, they're getting on all right, you're having a good time. And then your brain's going, nah, why do you trust them?
Yeah.
You've got nothing to go of. And then you're just kind of like this the
Battling.
whole time
Yeah. Battling.
in
yeah.
your brain, and you just kind of sat there like, yeah. And I think that's why a lot of people go quiet as well,
Yeah.
because they don't quite want to, because you could be acting on your irrational thoughts, but then what is an irrational thought? Because you don't know what the truth is.
Yeah.
Like it threw me off.
You fight yourself in there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
For so many different ways. And what's the perfect game to play? There is no perfect. Whatever twists and turns you could probably come up with in your head will be you could come up with 100.
Yeah,
they
some
will have
crazy
another
stuff.
100 on top.
Yeah.
They are games masters upstairs that are pulling all the stops out. And like I say, unless you experience it, but watching it back for me, I don't know what it's like for you, because you see when other people are talking about you in the interview, like the myths and stuff like that.
That's-
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's like you never see that when you're out. You go home, that's it. You don't see any of it. It's all the other stuff you don't see. So watching it back for me was like trauma again for number one.
It brought it
I
back.
loved watching your one, so I was like, I could watch this and enjoy it as a viewer.
Yeah.
So I got well into number two. I was all over it. I was like, I'm really enjoying this. But number one still haunts me. So.
Yeah.
When you watch it back and you see the reasons why they thought people were traitors, and like it's so easy to really plant that seed of doubt into someone to go, oh, they must be a traitor because they've just said this about that person, and then you go see that person, go and grass them up, and it was very, very
Who
weird.
was on their turn? Who started sniffing about you as a traitor? Who was? They mentioned a couple of people started to.
It was
Because they were doing the rounds, weren't they?
Yeah.
Inevitable, it has to come to yourself. at some
I
point.
believe it was because I was gunning for Ross.
Yeah.
Ross got friendly with Jasmine. They were quite powerful in there, them two. They were quite big characters, like in
in the
vocally.
little clicks, yeah.
Yeah, and I felt like because I was going for Ross was then going for me because he's like, "What are you doing, mate?
Tit for
I'm not a
tat.
traitor. Why are you going for me?" But
It's natural
from
isn't
his
it?
perspective. I'm just going at him. So like, but I was trying to do it in a respectful way. I was just trying to be honest as well, so it didn't look like I was trying to hide anything. But once I saw them two to switch, I reckon there was probably some conversations going on behind the scene, and I knew, even though I didn't know, you just know. Like, so I felt like I was quite popular in that. Naturally, I get on with everyone, anyone. And it was all like, yeah. And one morning I got up and it was the mission of the catapult. And it was like I'd said something wrong at some point.
Yeah.
I'm looking around thinking, have I upset someone? What's going on here?
You can feel the shift.
People
can't
were
you?
just kind of like, and I just like, what have I done? And then I'm like, oh yeah, I'm on the Traitors. Oh, they must think I'm a traitor. Oh, this ain't good. And I thought, what can I do? If everyone thinks I'm a traitor, not everyone, but I could just
feel the dynamics.
And
that's one thing. It's a horrible feeling, Johnny, when you know the walls are closing in on you. It's me for episode 12, obviously last episode, and you have to be a smart person. You when you've been in there for a while, the vibes give it off, and like I say, you can spot. You just wake up one day, and when your time's up, your time's up.
And that's why I kind of went gracefully, because I just kind of looked around and I thought everyone knows or thinks I'm a traitor.
Yeah.
I know I'm not. I could cry and say I'm not a traitor, I promise you.
Class.
But then they'll be like, he's a good actor, I reckon he's a traitor. Like, there's nothing you can do. So I just kind of thought, I'm just going to be honest and say, look, sorry if you think I am a traitor, but I'm not a traitor. And
do you know when you're standing up there and you have to reveal whether you're a traitor or not?
Yeah.
When you know you're not a traitor and you get to tell them that they were wrong,
you feel a bit smug.
I was about to ask, does that feel good?
I think because everyone's accusing you of something you haven't done.
Yeah.
And yes, it's a game. And yes, they're accusing you of being the murderer. But it feels very real. It feels like you're actually being accused of something, like you've done something wrong when you haven't.
Yeah.
And maybe that's because there is that element of taking it personally. But I think everyone feels like that. That's why your emotions are so high, because although it's a game and you're watching it from an audience perspective, all of you in there are going through a shared experience of what we were talking about earlier, being on cameras for the first time, doing all this stuff. So it's a really crazy, exciting, fun experience, and you've all got each other that you're going through it together with, but there's some people in there that are being deceitful, but you know it's not everyone, so that to get your head...
I remember watching it, so obviously I've been on it myself, but my wife watched it, seeing her. My wife was fucking livid when they voted for you. She was absolutely fucking fuming, mate. She was just people get so. I mean, we were robbed. I think you would have done really well, like I said at the beginning. But my wife, seeing her reaction, she was fucking livid, mate. She was crying. She got tears in her eyes,
mate. It would ruin my day.
First time I've seen someone react, and it's my wife as well. Seeing like when you left, she was like literally beside herself. I can see people getting so into it. Yeah, they connect with people. Yeah.
What's life been like for you since Traitors?
So when Series 2 came around, I was umming and ahhing whether to go on it, because I've got some personal things going on in life, breakups, house moves, all that fun, exciting stuff. So I wasn't in a great mindset either, similar to yourself, going on the show, but different spectrum. And I kind of done all the filming. I remember coming back, and you can't really tell anyone what you've done. You just kind of, I've been away and I've done this, and I think I did all right, but I don't know. And even if I was the nicest person in the world, I would have been worrying that I've said something wrong or done something wrong. If I was the horriblest person in the world, I still would have felt like I feel like
the power's in the edit now as well.
Yeah,
I'll tell you what, that is such a strange feeling, because what's the gap from filming it to it coming out?
So for me, we did the filming in September, and it came out in January.
It was May and June, so we had a longer wait.
Yeah, so because it's the whole thing of the power is in the edit. You've got no idea how it's going to come out. Because the first time I did the Apollo, that was the first big show that I'd done live, the Apollo, and we filmed that in this September. It didn't come out until like February-ish, I think. So for that whole time, and you've just filmed like this brilliant thing, and then you wake up the next day and nothing's changed.
Yeah,
like because no one knows. No one knows. You got walk.
Your adrenaline's still up there.
Well, ours is a bit different. I think I was watching that the other day, Like when you, for Live at the Apollo, going off piece a little bit, but Live at the Apollo, when you walk out and that smoke comes up and they're curtain, that must be such an amazing experience.
Shit
You as a
myself.
comedian.
I would be.
Yeah,
I'd have holes in my boxer shorts, mate.
I'll tell you why I shit myself. Right, my agent when we got together, all the gigs I was doing, I never had a bad gig.
Right.
And yeah, never had didn't have a bad show, never died on stage. And he used to send me to gigs that were notoriously difficult for new comics because he was like, "You've got to go and have that."
Great.
Literally,
Price.
he sent me to Belfast once to do this gig. Told me I was doing a 20-minute set, and I barely had 20 minutes material, right? And then I get there, and the show runner's there telling us the lineup. And he's gone for everyone. He's gone out. And Emmanuel, you're doing a closing 40-minute set. I was like, I'm what? So then I've just like smart. It's like fake it till you make it.
Yeah.
I've then nodded and smiled away, gone on the phone to him. I've gone. They've made a mistake. I'm meant to be doing 20, mate, and they put me on for a 40. And he just started laughing, put the phone down on me. It's like it's like you're gonna go and trial by fire. Then after the show, he's called me up and went, "How'd it go?" And I was like, "I fucking nailed it, mate. It was awesome."
Yes.
And he was furious.
What?
But it was little things like that.
Yeah.
So we used to have this joke where we'd say, "Imagine if," because we were always working towards Live at the Apollo. And he's gone, "Imagine if you never have a bad show and then you get to the Apollo and it's a shit show."
Oh.
That was the joke. We always used to talk about it.
Oh.
Then I forgot about it. Fast forward to just before we're getting ready to go out. He goes, "Remember that time we used to joke about the Apollo being your first bad gig? Have a good one, mate." And then, welcome to the stage,
That's
Emmanuel.
not a thing that you do, I would do, really. I love
So
that.
you look at my face when I'm walking out, I am shitting myself.
Oh, don't
on that
look
one.
too bad, mate. But I just look out at that sea of audience. I've done it once when I've done Jimmy Carr's show. I had to do a little cameo bit, and I was only on there for like 30 seconds. And I was all right before. The second I walked up and my arse, literally, I was like, fuck, it's daunting, mate. Like, ours is different. You have cameras everywhere, but live, oh my God, a different animal altogether.
Yeah, I've obviously not done anything. I've done public speaking and things like that. And even when I went on Lorraine and things, what I find is I'll go on there, they'll talk, and I don't remember anything.
No.
Yeah, no, you don't.
And I'll sit down, they go, "Johnny, you done really well." I'm like, "What did I just say? What did I do?"
Yeah.
And you're like, it's just like autopilot.
Yeah, you got no. Even when so I filmed QI and it came out nearly a year later, and I watched it as if I weren't on it because I couldn't remember a single word of anything that I said. And you come off afterwards, and then your brain's going, "You've probably said something fucking stupid." And now everyone's going to know you're an idiot. And this was the paranoia. I filmed it, and it didn't come out for ages, and I just thought that they'd watched it back and gone, "No, he's shit."
Fuck that.
Just cut him out.
And just cut it.
Episode 2, then 4. Well, to 3.
No, he
Speaking
was
of
rubbish.
Lorraine, mate, I'll watch it. I was lucky enough. I don't know, for the sheer chance one morning I was home, and then I saw you going. I've been lucky enough to go on Lorraine as well. What a great experience!
It
And
is
that
great.
was I learned a lot about you on Lorraine because it was very different. It wasn't
Oh,
trade
you didn't know
related.
too much about, like the snippets of the details.
Yeah.
And that was another thing I worried about because I've done so many. I genuinely have done a lot of things since I've left the army and in the army.
Yeah.
That I thought if I start telling everyone this, they're going to think I'm bullshit.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, you done that as well, have you? You know,
It's a great insight, mate.
crazy.
Really good interview. Lorraine's got that skill set like that to talk. Little bit, obviously, that's what you know from the Traitors, but the stories you told on there, mate, were fantastic. So,
it was strange watching. Like I saw it. It was online. I saw a bit of it back from Lorraine, and all my mates are just like, "Are you wearing makeup?" I was like, "I didn't put
No,
it
you
on.
have to, yeah.
I got put in a little room.
Yeah.
They're like, "Oh,
Feels good though, didn't it?
Yeah.
I did.
They're
I was
like,
like,
sat in the
"He's
makeup
brilliant."
chair.
Yeah.
It does feel, you're like, "Do you know what? I look quite nice."
So the round table is, like I say, such a unique, daunting experience when you get there. When you get there, it's quite a buzz, but it has a real aura about it when you get there. And it's obviously it's the money shot of the show, isn't it? The round table is where it all happens. Like, how did you find it? You look quite blasé and quite chilled around the round table, to be honest with you. So if you were winging it, you've done an amazing job. But how did you find the accusations and having to accuse people?
You can just imagine. So Claudia's saying, "Oh, the round table's tense. Everyone's nervous." I'm just in my head.
Yeah.
I'm happy to be here. No, so I was speaking about this recently to someone. I think because there's similar things on the telly at the minute with missions.
Yeah,
stuff.
you can see a lot of traitor-esque stuff, can't you?
Yeah,
Oh, there's loads.
Yeah, without name dropping what it is, I think we know what we're talking about. And I was just sort of talking away through it, and it made me remember that you'd wake up in the morning, you're in the castle, you've got to do stuff, and you in the back of your mind you're like, I'm having a fun time right now, but tonight I've got a round table to do, and you've got to look forward to this round table every evening or whenever it is. And I just remember that playing on my mind this whole time. I thought, we're all getting on now, but the gloves are coming off later. We're all gonna scrap.
Ding ding, yeah.
And I never looked forward to that, but I don't like in life people argue and moan about things. When someone kicks off to a waitress because they brought their food out wrong and make a scene out. I don't like that.
No.
I don't like that kind of mood change. So in my head, I'm like, here we go. It's going to get tasty. And I'm just sat there and I'm kind of looking around like, who's going to kick off first? Is anyone going to kick off at me? Like, have they been talking about me all day and I don't know about it?
No idea.
So that's going through your head. But I remember, like, I was known to be the fart around the round table. So if anyone finds it offensive, but just to
you were the farter.
Yeah. So I'll just go. It'll be quiet.
That breaks the eye.
And I'll just go.
Clears the air.
and then I sort of and go.
Oh, that's brilliant.
I would love them to show that.
It would be funny, wouldn't it?
I would have loved to have done that.
Crying, screaming. He was like, Johnny, please, because every time I managed to convince everyone it was Zach farting.
Brilliant.
I was like, Zach, that's disgusting.
Deflection in its finest.
Yeah. But only because he was uncomfortable. That I tackled humour to make people.
Relax,
Kieran, how did you feel about the round table?
I had so many mixed emotions at the round table. For me personally, obviously getting thrown out, coming back, episode 5, sitting at the round table. I'd missed quite a few episodes, so when me and Amos come back, like you see it, like we come back, I sat there. Thank God, because they obviously would edit sometimes. When we come back into the castle, I know I said to the producers, I think we're going to be a target. We're an easy target, me and Amos.
Because you've been away.
Yeah, because we've been away. It's an easy vote. I don't know. We never knew what was going on. We didn't have any clue what's going on. So I said, are we able to be voted for tonight? And they went, yeah. I said, that's quite hard to deal with, I'll be honest with you. I'd feel as though we might be an easy target. So, and for us to be thrown out and to come back and then get voted out of the first round table, and that's a lot for someone to take.
Yeah.
And I'm not prepared to take that. And so me and Amos was on the same page. Luckily, whatever happened, when we sat down, Claudia said, you're exempt from being voted. So at that point, I'd relaxed. So I was like, okay, I've got to pass this episode. But watching that first round table, this is one where Tom was... So with Ivan basically saying, I'll read people for that was my first round table. So I come in, it was level 10. I was like, I enjoyed it.
What's happened?
But I was like, what the fuck is going on here?
That was a brilliant moment in
it was.
I read people. I've got this down. When people do that, it's just gold to watch.
Yeah, the audience are like,
yeah, you need a new job, mate, because you are bad at
it's TV gold. It's fine. It's obviously the battle.
Even if that is your job, keep that to yourself, because if you're wrong.
Oh, he was so confident, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And fair play. He's a very talented guy. I've spoke to Tom a lot after the show. He's a very talented guy. But yeah, to put your head on the chopping block with that, and at that level of confidence, it was a lovely TV.
That's one thing that used to irritate me in the castle, actually. Yeah. When people said, oh no, that person's 100% faithful. I don't think it's them. And I'm like, 100%. How is that possible? Yeah. Like literally, there's no
we
way.
was all 100% crew, weren't we? Like, oh my god, it backfired massively, didn't it? With so many people.
Yeah, I found that with certain things people saying, right? And then that made me deep it on a bigger level. I was like, I don't actually trust anyone 100%. Yeah. So how the heck are people?
Yeah, it was quite odd to deal with. Yeah, I mean, and as they went on, like you quite rightly say, it got more intense to the point where my last episode, I couldn't give a flying fuck. So
you're really in it towards as a viewer.
Yeah,
you're really in it towards.
I was still angry about it.
Yeah,
Kieran.
I don't think I can. I'm not gonna.
Like they were worried themselves. They had extra security around the castle. They thought I was going to kill Will. So basically, I was like, mate, it's a game. I was pissed off, obviously, but it was a game. He played a blinder, but. Yeah. For me, I'd got that quite far. And like I say, I don't think they've ever done an ultimatum after. It's all been recruiting. So I don't think ultimatums now exist because it is comply or die.
There was
that one in yours? Oh, okay, fine.
Because of what happened with your one. We were sort of spoken to without saying too much.
Now say it.
No.
Well, that was it, really.
Yeah. I thought, because I watched all the other ones and no one's been given an ultimatum since, so it's
Yeah.
been an option to seduce, whatever. Yeah, seduce ever. So yeah, it's what I'll never change my one for yeah. It is what it is, and it's made. I'm grateful for my journey through the show.
Oh, so.
You get asked this a lot. I get asked it probably loads of times. So I'd hope your answer would be what mine would be. If you were invited back to do an All Stars, first, would you do it? Secondly, who would you like to play with? Thirdly, who would you like to play against?
Ooh, that is a good question, isn't it?
And you could pick all international thing you like.
Would I go in again? Yeah, I think I would.
Good.
It'd be quite
Good.
because once you've done it once,
Yeah.
you know what to expect.
I think, yeah. Absolutely.
If you're doing it for the first time, you'll have no clue. It's one of those things that you'd have to put yourself in and get a feel for it, and then you're like, I get it now. But at the start, you completely don't know what's going on. Who would I like to play with? That's a really good question. Harry, let's go again.
Yeah, ding ding, round two.
Yeah. No, but yeah, and that makes me think, you know, in that reality, I could have been made to be a traitor.
Yeah.
And I always wonder. I don't know how I would have.
I think you'd have killed it.
I think
my wife spoke about it. Yeah.
I could be a really good traitor.
I think
Genuinely, I know I could. But I think I would have really struggled. Like, I have got a big heart.
Yeah.
And I like, if I'd got to the end and I had to split money, or I didn't have to split money, or I won the money to them, I would still share it with the person that was left. That's just me.
Yeah.
I genuinely think I'd do
that's
that.
your DNA.
I genuinely think I'd do that.
I think you've had loads of fun being a traitor up to him, but I think we always remember it is a game.
Yeah.
But when you're in that game, it plays with all of your moral. That's why it's so good. It plays with everything that you shouldn't do, but in a game you should do. It's so thingy. But I think you'd sail through as a traitor. I think you'd struggle at the end. But
you reckon?
Yeah.
But I reckon because I was such this like lovable, faithful, that if I was ever in with someone, they're gonna be like, yeah, Johnny's gonna be the traitor. Like, you know, because you try and think what the producers are doing as well.
Yeah.
So it's
hard.
It's
very
a
hard.
tricky
very
one.
hard. Yeah.
And it'd be interesting if anything like that ever was there.
Oh, when you look back now, and you look at some people, I was like, oh, geez, it does annoy you. It's like, why didn't I see that?
Oh, yeah.
But you know, it's done. There's nothing you do.
I try to ignore those thoughts because they do creep into your head, and you think, oh, if only, like, that's stupid.
Shut up, it's done. Yeah, it's done.
It's only because it's captured moment that you go back and think, oh, it could have been different. It could have done.
Season 2, they were backstabbing each other left, right, and centre.
Like
Traitors.
brutal.
That was that one.
There's some big moments.
Yeah, there was loads. You thought there's no honour amongst phase of you people, and like that one, I was like, you're bad people.
What was your what would you say watching it back, whether you was in it or whether you was out of it, your standout moment for your series? What was a thing?
There was obviously some big moments, and a lot of the big moments still were happening after I left. A lot of them did happen after I left, with the whole, you know, Diane and the fizzy rosé with Miles. And then that cracks me up when Miles came. He was like,
that's one of them
because she was still there. Like, what was going through his head? That must have been hilarious.
The producers are evil, but absolutely amazing at the same time. Yeah.
So that was really funny to watch back. But I don't. It wasn't really captured that much. There was a glimpse of it captured, but the first mission we did, I don't know if you remember, we had to put all the platforms together on the river, and we had like boats and stuff, and I was like, yeah,
mate, you were killed. You were jumping across the things and that. Yeah, mate, it was absolutely putting people to shame, I might add, as well. Like, with one leg.
I was so excited. I was like, get me in that one. It was hot as well. Like, believe
you was having fun.
Oh, yeah. The missions were what I was looking forward to. I was like, oh, what are we going to do tomorrow? And everyone was like, are you all right, Johnny? I'm like, yeah. But for me, that was when, so I think me and Jazz, Ross, Molly were on our little rowing boat, and Jazz was like, oh, I don't know, I might jump in and get a shield. And I'm like, well, you can help us move the boat first, because we can't do it without
it
you.
was the unreal rule, and if you touch the shield.
Yeah. And he was like, oh, I don't know. And then as we got close, he just jumped off. And like there was a little bit like, oh yeah, no, I was like, leave him there. You're not getting back in up.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah. Swim.
Yeah, but he was actually struggling to swim a little bit.
Oh.
I didn't realise at the time, and he was like drowning. And we go, nah, let him drown. It's his fault for taking the shield. But we got him back in, and me and Jazz, like, we had a little moment after, we had a little chat, and I was like, look, I'm sorry if I was a bit shouty and a bit like, but I just felt like, you kind of mugged us off a little bit there and buggered off and jumped and got the shield.
And you've delivered that in a quite a classy, nice way. You weren't
we hugged it out and squashed it instantly. Yeah. But that to me was like, okay, this is a game now. People are going to do things for themselves. Yeah. But then when I look back, I didn't give a crap about the shields. I didn't bother. I didn't even talk about them. I thought, if someone wants to murder me, they can murder me, shield or not. Yeah. I was too blasé with it because it could have protected me.
The shield's going to give you an extra day, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's all it's going
to do. Yeah, but also make you a target. Spot on.
Yeah.
I like how we said that. Yeah. Should we try it again?
Literally target.